Hey there everybody, my name is Dave Sellers. We have our next installment of our video cooking series. Today I am doing the two-time taco sort of competition winner that the SFI did. It's called the Notorious P.I.G taco. It's a chicken fried pork belly taco with a sriracha mayo, pickled vegetables, queso fresco, and a salsa matcha sauce. We also just recently started a YouTube channel, which we're encouraging people to subscribe to so you can see our videos. So if you dig on pork or any of the other stuff we do, check out our YouTube channel and press like. So this is pork belly, right? So we're gonna first cook the pork belly. It's usually a braised or a slow roasted piece of meat. Always season meats very liberally. It's my first rule of thumb. I'm gonna season it on all sides. Salt and pepper. Notice how I have the one hand, which is turning the meat. The other hand is on the seasoning. That way you don't get meat juice in your seasoning. Okay. So now our pan's heating up. We're gonna come over here, add some oil, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna sear the pork really well on all sides. This process is gonna take a few minutes, but it's worth the wait. So what you want to do is you want to turn it, you want to sear it, get it nice and brown on all sides, and then we're going to add the liquid. I'll show you how we're going to do that. Where we are now, if you look at this, you see how it's getting nice, really nice and seared on all sides? That's pretty much exactly what you want. When it's like this, what we're going to do is we're going to transfer it to this little roasting pan that I have here. And we're just going to kind of put it in there like that. And then what we're going to do is I have a pre-made braising liquid that I'm going to cook it in. So I'm just going to pour some of this guy on here, and then as that heats up, we're going to bring it up to a simmer, then we're going to cover it, and then we're going to cook it in a 325-degree oven until it's tender. It's probably one of the convenient things of being in a commercial kitchen is that we braise meats all the time, right? So when you braise something, you could save the liquid and reuse it over and over again. So this is an Asian braise that we use for our pork shoulder. It's for a Korean barbecue pork. So it has a little bit of water, it has soy sauce, it has gochujang, which is a fermented chili paste. It has a little bit of brown sugar, lime juice, and cilantro, garlic. And then what you do is you cover that all up, cook it. As you use it over and over again, it just compounds the flavor because you keep on getting more and more flavor in it, right? So salsa matcha is kind of an unusual sauce from Mexico, which is, it's almost like a dried chili pesto is how I would describe it. I'll just show you how you make it. That's the easiest thing. So some of the components are, we're gonna do two different, you could do any kind of chili. I'm doing two different kinds of chili. These are guajillo dried chilies. We're gonna use these. They're kind of a medium hot chili, a lot of flavor. And then we're gonna use these other ones. These smaller ones are called chili arbol. And arbol chilies are very hot. So the kind of the mix of the two is really nice. It also has peanuts. We're gonna use salt and pepper. It has a little bit of vinegar in it, as odd as that is. Usually has sesame seeds, but we're out of sesame seeds, so I'm just gonna use a tiny bit of sesame oil to kind of give it that sesame flavor. And I'm also, to give the seed aspect, I'm gonna use some pumpkin seeds called pepitas in Mexico. Okay, so the first thing you wanna do, oh, also garlic in there too, and olive oil. So the first thing you wanna do is you wanna dry toast the chilies. So what I'm doing now is I got a pan that's heating up. We are going to add the chilies in here. And we're also gonna add garlic right off the bat. A little bit of garlic, a couple cloves, and we're gonna add peanuts. We're gonna do little peanuts. Careful, because as you start to do this, they start to smoke, right? And it'll choke you out. So the key thing is you wanna keep it hot, but you don't wanna burn them. What you wanna do is you want to slowly start toasting them so that they start to evenly brown, but they don't get too burned, because if they get too burned, they will be bitter, okay? Perfect time during the coronavirus. You can wear a mask while you're doing this, so then you don't have to worry about choking yourself out. Then you wanna get it nice and dry. And what it does is it releases all the flavors from the chilies. Another thing I did, which I forgot to mention, was previously, before we started, I cleaned the chilies. What you always wanna do is you wanna remove the stems, and then you kind of crack them open and take out the seeds. Because the seeds are where most of the heat is in the chili, right? So you want to get rid of those seeds because then you could use more chili and get more chili flavor without it being ridiculously and uneditably hot. See what I'm saying? So you can see these are starting to get a little bit of brown going on. Now what we do is add our pepitas. Do a little pepita action in there. I'm also going to hit it with a little salt. We're just going to kind of keep on getting these nice and toasty like this until they're nice and dark. We're going to take all of our chilies and stuff and put them in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to puree the dry ingredients a little bit first. So we just want to really get that down into like a fine, almost like something that you would do in a mortar and pestle. See that? See how it looks like nice and fine like that? So now what I like to do is, I like to use just a tiny bit of chopped cilantro. It's kind of non-traditional, but I like it. I'm gonna put the cilantro in there. I'm gonna do juice of 1 lime. We're gonna do our little splash of sesame oil. Tiny bit of rice wine vinegar. And then we're also going to do a little bit of olive oil, kind of like the same way you finish a pesto. So it kind of becomes this like somewhat liquidy affair. So we're going to add a little bit of that in there. Close her up. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so then I'll show you what you end up with is this beautiful, super flavorful, and also spicy. It's chunky sort of sauce. See how cool that is? Look at the color on that. It's really beautiful. It's spicy, it's peanutty, and it has that sort of, you know, it's a little different than a normal salsa in Mexico. I really like it. So that's that for that component, and then we'll move on to the next part. Okay, so 2 little things we're going to do right now. They both contain sriracha. What we do for the base part of we put it on the taco. It's a sriracha mayo. Super easy. All you do is you take mayo and add sriracha. Usually I'll put like 1 lime in here too. One lime. And then you could add more or less sriracha depending on how much you like sriracha. We like it, so I put a decent amount in there. See, that's kind of what it ends up looking like. Sriracha mayo, it's delicious. Then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to do a buttermilk marinade because we call it chicken fried pork belly. We got a little bit of buttermilk here. I'm going to put that in there like that. And again, I'm going to do a little bit of sriracha. And then I'm also going to do a little bit of chopped cilantro. And then we're just going to mix that up like that. Okay? So that's our marinade. It's going to be beautiful. And next what we're going to do is we have our pork belly. We're going to carefully take this out. It's nice and tender now, right? I'm just going to cut it like this. Usually what I'll do is I'll cut it into pieces that are appropriate for like a taco size or something. This, we'll do like 2 pieces like that for a taco, right? So if we're doing 3 tacos, we'll do it about like that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add these guys into the marinade. You see how they're going to just soak up that buttermilk. And if you could let these, like you could even do this the day before and just let them sit. And then they'll just soak up that buttermilk and the sriracha, so the next day when you fry them, they'll be awesome. Okay, so now we're ready to do, we got all of our mise en place here, which they say and French for all the things that you need to complete our project here. So we have tortillas, got a marinated pork belly. This is a flour dredge, which we're going to fry the pig in. I got a little mixture of some pickled vegetables and cabbage here, which I pre-made. Queso fresco, the sriracha aioli we already made, our salsa macha, and then some fresh cilantro. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to fry the pork belly. You can pan fry this at home. You just get the oil hot. So we got our little marinade. What we're going to do is we're going to take these guys out. See how they're in individual pieces. You want to kind of keep the buttermilk on them because the buttermilk kind of helps make that crust to make it like fried chicken, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to drop these 3 guys down in there. 2, 3. I'm going to do the same thing with the other 3. Remember, we're doing 2 per taco. Shake off a little bit of the excess flour, but nothing wrong with having a little flour on there because that's what gives it that sort of thick crust, like fried chicken. So these we're frying at about, it's not like fried chicken where you have to fry it really slow because you're cooking the chicken from raw. These are cooked so you can cook it a little bit faster and they're smaller so they get nice and crispy on the outside. So these guys I have at about 375, so they'll get nice and crisp and heat all the way through. See how they're coming out? That's exactly how you want them. So these guys are ready. I'm gonna pull these guys out. Woo. Boom, those are beautiful. Those look good. See how it looks just like fried chicken? My taco shells, I got them on the flat top. Very hot flat top. This is very hot, like a comal you get in New Mexico. This is in Mexico. That's how I like to do it, so they get this little bit of black on them. They get a lot more flavorful that way. Yeah, that's how you want it to look, just like that. See how it's like a little bit scorched around the outside? Okay. I'm gonna come over here. What I like to do is you put a little bit of mayo down on the bottom of the taco. I'm going to put a couple of these guys down like this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of the salsa macha on them. Get it right down on the pork because the pork just kind of absorbs that flavor from the matcha. I'm going to cut up the cilantro and put it in my little slaw mix. Okay. It doesn't take much. Just want a little bit there on the top. Yeah. Last is the queso fresco. Just want to just get that right on there. So it stays. So that's it. The Notorious P.I.G. You may notice a lot of the stuff that I do on this channel, it's like a lot of little components, but the key is that all the components sort of play together to accentuate the flavors of the key ingredient, which in this case is the pork. So you have like the mayo, which is kind of fatty. You have the salsa macha, which is like super hot and a little bit vinegary. It kind of cuts the fat of the pork. And then the cheese does the same thing. And then also a little pickled vegetables, cilantro just kind of rounds it out. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna try it. Got to kind of, what I like to do is kind of get it in there and kind of mush it a little bit. So you get it all together, all the pieces kind of combine. Notorious P.I.G.